Welcome to our One Breath podcast, brought to you by SriPonya, which means beautiful healing. Here in Central Oregon, we are building pathways of healing, dignity, and belonging through community-based peer support. Our Youth in Progress program walks alongside young people as they navigate life's challenges, providing mentorship rooted in lived experience and real compassion. And for our neighbors returning home from incarceration, Brothers and Sisters in Progress offers reentry support that inspires hope, connection, and second chances. At SriPonya, we believe recovery is a community effort and that social enterprise, peer leadership, and heart-centered care can transform lives. One breath, one moment, one relationship at a time. If you believe in this work and want to help us continue offering these vital programs, please consider making a donation today. Your support fuels healing, strengthens families, and expands opportunity for some of our most resilient community members. Donation information is included in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and welcome to the One Breath podcast. My brother Antonio.
How's it going?
Welcome, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. This is a really special episode of the One Breath podcast. I've known you for 2 years?
Over 3 years.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Antonio and I met. We're in recovery. We're recovery brothers.
Yes.
We walk in the world as sober men, and we're also up to some stuff in the world together as well.
That's right.
with PERS. And this is called the SriPonya One Breath podcast. And when we first started, we named the organization SriPonya because in two different languages, the word Shri means beautiful. The word Ponya in Swahili means healing. So, we walk in the world with the desire and intention to be an organization, all of us as a team, to be in the world as beautiful healing. And you've recently become part of that.
Yes, I have.
How did that happen? Because you do not have a background of...
Well, you want me to tell the story, how we came about?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, from the time we met on here to here, present day, I want to say about 3 years ago, and me and my spouse, we were attending recovery meetings just in the neighboring city of Madras, Oregon, the neighboring city of Warm Springs. We were traveling back and forth, and we were between Warm Springs, and we needed a meeting more convenient, somewhere we could have a safe place to open up to and have attendants come and experience the same safe place of having meetings, because it was working for us. My early days of recovery. She had my spouse. She had a continuing path of recovery, and she had introduced it to me. So by the time I came to the conclusion that I needed recovery for myself, and decided, well, let's run our own meetings, because traveling back and forth between Madras and Warm Springs was it was becoming a bit much, having children to haul with us. So we opened up a meeting in the Behavioral Health Center of Warm Springs, and they were nice enough to let us use their meeting room. And then in the act of recovery, I see this Caucasian brother come in, and I'm like, oh, wow. And he introduces himself, which is you, Greg, and you tell me you're doing podcasts at KWSO. You see in the flyer we had posted. At the time, our meeting was called No One's Left Alone, NA meeting. and you showed up, and you witnessed me and my spouse, us, in the act of recovery, and from there we just kind of hit off, and I believe in a form of mentorship, you were big brothering me, and I started to turn to you, and at the time I was doing bridge work, road work, and concrete work, and I would often turn to you and talk to you about, the life of a person who in recovery also living that life, how frustrating and tired it could be. Not saying it can't be done, but I remember you saying, "Hey, you could always do recovery as a job," or pretty in your own words. You had that's the message I was getting, and I heard it one too many times to not consider it, and these jobs I was just running into all kinds of problems, that was disturbing to my inner self, and upon one time I just about had enough of that. I came back, tried training for my CRM. I was really self-conscious about a person that had an upbringing like myself and the background I carry. I don't know if I would, I don't know if I could or would and whatnot. And with the words of encouragement, just see it through, give it to the Creator, with some really good quotes out of the AA text. I seen it through, got through it. My background was verified, and I was so happy. I was like, wow, and such good people. Your wife Jennifer wanted to celebrate, so was invited over for dinner, and then she offered me a job in recovery services, and I was like, whoa, and till today, one step at a time, I am saying, I'm looking left and right and say, can I take another one? Can I take another one? For somebody coming out of the background of, I want to say like a reentry background, and me being my own reentry.
Explain what reentry is, Antonio. That's
reentry is reentry is for it's a program that was created for men and women that were coming out of incarceration, needing an assistance to help them stand a chance to whatever their society contains, and it could be really challenging for somebody who's been in there multiple years or a lifetime to come out here and try to adjust. There's no mentoring, no one to encourage you to know that how do I say this? Like, their answer to having no mentor or anybody counseling them to what they're feeling when they get out could mean, I'll just go back where everything's easy for me. So reentry programs are to help us see that there is a way with assistance, encouragement, and mentorship that we as people who have did incarceration time of years come out, if we want to stand a chance, but we can't imagine it without the programs of reentry.
Yeah, that totally will illuminate what it's like to come out of prison and find yourself alone and wondering, what the hell am I going to do? You had spent, you've shared your story with me, and it's inspiring as hell, Antonio, because your background that led to you spending time, doing time, was you found gangs at an early age, and share a little bit about what led to your incarceration. You don't need to go into all the detail of charges and stuff like that, but share your journey, because and then if you would share also what occurred and the people you met and the particular man that made such a difference for you.
Okay. So first of all, I want to go back to the upbringing, which led up to some of the choices that were part of my environment. So, not to mention, I'm half Hispanic, half Native American, and did a lot of my growing up in the two small towns of Madras, Warm Springs, Oregon. Um, Growing up, born in the 80s and raised in the 90s, mom and pops, they were in an era where they resorted to some of the street enterprise, I should call it, which is um, selling drugs to was their livelihood, and they did that until they start selling it to themselves. The next thing you know, we have a dysfunctional home to where it's affecting our performance at school and our behaviors, and then being two different races growing up, not fitting in enough here, not fitting enough there, being a half Hispanic, half Native. We never really mingled with solid nationality, so there was in between, and those in between outcasts, so to say, were all joining gangs and whatnot, and the gang was seen as a race itself, and by the time we were in junior high, we was already getting the idea of it in late elementary. By the time junior high came, we were already active graffitiing, expressing ourselves through graffiti, behavior, dress codes. And of course, that came with the invitation of joining a gang. So we did, me and my brothers. And joining the gang came along with criminal activity such as fighting, vandalism, graffiti, drugs, and then gangs led to drugs. Drugs led to addiction. From drugs to incarceration, and also some poor choices of not being able to manage early parenthood as well. By time I didn't finish high school. By the time I didn't finish it, but I did get my diploma in a later part of this story. By the time I got to 21, all these indictments were rolling in. Federal indictments were rolling in on me. And I found myself going up to federal courts and prison. And praise God, some of the things that they said that I was may have to have sat down for, or there were some pretty big stretches that before a lower offer. And I had like 3 or 4 different crimes that I committed. And the federal government was, they wanted me to pay for it. So these things were like 2 or 3 years old, but I just kept on thinking I was, squeezing through the cracks of getting away with some of the things that were pending or underneath investigation. And so at 21, they hit me, and I get out on a federal pretrial. I screwed that up too. 4 weeks later, I'm on my way back. I'm on my way back, and I'm really I'm scared for myself. I called my mother on the phone. I apologized to her because I know at that point how selfish of a choice it was for me. And then she just, being a mother and what mothers do most of the time is encourage, give you strength, and let you know they're going to be there. And anyhow, while I'm in there doing time, 2 years into my sentence, I'm still involved in gangs, right?
In prison?
Yes, in the federal prison. So time goes by. I start programming, and I still have I'm still in fear of my I guess my faith and anything that could happen that deals with belief systems or anything like that. I'm still scared. I still pray. I prayed when I was a criminal on the run as well.
Most of us were praying during those days.
Dear God, get me out of this, and I promise, da 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 da. But anyways, being away from your family, you're scared that you may lose somebody being away from them. So those are some of my prayers that went by. Having kids as well, I had one at the time. And anyhow, 2 years into my sentence, I have a younger brother who was born with a heart condition. He was had a pacemaker placed inside of his chest area, I want to say, for his heart condition. It was to monitor, give signals of pretty much how his heart functioning is going. He had that placed in him when he was 5 years old. Well, he's up at 21 years of age at the time. I'm incarcerated 2 years in. And he's going up for like a surgery that was kind of needed because he's wanting to further his physical beings, because his physical abilities, not beings, abilities, because he was limited. There was only, that was something upon hire that most employees had to consider. So, and he was, don't get me wrong, he didn't look fatigued. He was taller than me. His shoulders were broader, handsome, and he out-heighted me, like I said. And wow, he had it all, Well, anyways, he went up for the surgery. Upon surgery, I'm calling mom. Mom's answering. I'm calling sisters, and they're like, keep your brother in prayer. And, he's going to be going into surgery. And we're like, okay. But I must admit, it was very selfish of myself. I was like, okay, we're going to pray, but tell him to hang in there, tell him, we'll talk later, like denying the fact of the sincerity behind this surgery he was about to enter into. And then we would call, maybe once a day, twice a day. One of these nights, my mom answers and she's like, hey, son, your younger brother, Armando, he didn't make it through the surgery. Wow. And my mind was so into the BS going on there with the prison and the excitement, a young chavalon, which is a youngster, that troublemaker, and, my mind was so in the mix of that and the fun and glory you get out of it, being a gang member in there. And so when she hit me with that news of your brother didn't make it, he stopped me dead in my tracks. And I was like, whoa. It was like a spiritual spanking, I want to say, over all my desires were at the time. And I got to admit and must confess, my desires weren't praying for his well-being, wasn't praying for a good surgery. It was, I was just like, Mom, you got this, you care for him in a good way. I'll just let him know we're going to be here. That was my state of thinking at the time. I got to admit, it was a selfish brother, so to say. So hearing that my brother had passed away was really devastating and heartbreaking. Keep in mind, my older brother's in another prison also at the same time. And I'm so heartbroken at this point. The gang I affiliated and am in prison with, shedding tears in public was not something they did. There was a lot of rules to what you can and can't do, and showing weakness wasn't one of them. And containing breakdowns wasn't something we did. But in the process of that, there were a few, and then me keep in mind that segregation was really, it's alive, it's well, it's okay with the prison systems in there. I'm saying that to say this, that with the particular gang that I had ran with, we didn't really mix and mingle with different nationalities, and I had to ask permission in this time of, considering that I just lost a younger brother from some of the guys in charge of the area I was doing my time. I said, hey, can this brother who is not of us in the group you guys categorize us into be, can he come into my cell and pray with me? I just lost a younger brother.
Now, when you were asking permission, that was the senior members of the gang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the guards.
No, not the guards.
So you were going to your gang members, senior gang members, and asking them if this gentleman could come and be with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Now, what was it that you would feel compelled to? Was he of a different race? You know
Yes.
what?
So he was a different race. He's an African-American brother.
Oh, okay.
And politics, they could get deep. They could make you abide by things you probably normally wouldn't do out here in the real world. Well, the brother I had in mind in particular is, he's a spiritual brother, man of faith, and he was always ushering, hey, we're having services in the chapel today. You want to come in? Hey, brother, looking good today. I see you, complimenting, just good-spirited, good behavior. Also another inmate, and you can just see that spirit of mentorship inside of him. It was like a guy who had a word for every day. You know what I mean? And and then there was other brothers that sided with him. And some of them came off to me as annoying, and I was like, yeah, he's cool, but the rest of them, like. Yeah, they kind of annoy me because they're too happy, and how are we even happy in here, And but I must admit, after losing my younger brother, that's exactly what I needed. There's that kind of spirits. The ones, even the brothers that seem too happy, I needed to be cheered up. I needed some words of hope, faith, and I needed to be seen, And so the brother I requested in particular to come and pray with me due to my loss was Brother John Ponder, aka Pooch. I had told him what I was going through, and man, this brother, of course he found time. He's like, yeah, let's go pray. This brother wasn't leading me up to what took place in this prayer. He wasn't trying to persuade me in any way to where this prayer led to. He just came into here to support me in that moment I was going through of grieving. And when we got in there, I laid my brother's picture out, and he said, let's get on our knees and pray, And I start praying, and I start crying, and I said, brother, I'm sorry. And he's praying pretty much over what he's, observing to the man upstairs, and I just started renouncing the gang. I was the lifestyle, the charge, how, that would almost come off as reckless if anybody was to hear it. But in that moment, it was just me, John, and our Father God, and I was renouncing, saying, I am tired of this, I'm done with these gangs, Lord. I want to change. I want to get out and do better for myself, I'm tired of this life, and I still, keep in mind, I still have 2 years to go. And, oh my God, Brother John, I could just imagine, the praises, witnessing such thing in the place we're at, the environment we're living in, of all glory be to God, how he's witnessing this, right before his eyes, and God just working a miracle, converting a gang member who is probably wouldn't mind tacking on a couple more years due to the rank you could probably get off of the slang term putting in work, which would have been like initiating another crime or raising your hand when somebody's needing to be assaulted or something in the lines of that. I was on my way of that direction before this had took place, and I didn't mind saying yes to it. That was the mentality I had, and this had taken place. And with that being said, John Ponder, everybody was aware that I was going through something due to the loss of my brother, so they gave me my space, meaning everybody such as in the gang. I would get a little bit of flicking, a little bit of slander, but it wouldn't be directly to me. It'd be a friend that was close to me and saying, oh, they're saying something about you guys going to church, because I also influenced a couple one younger friend and a cousin who happened to be in there at the same time of attending these services, faith-based services inside the prisons, and we allowed John Ponder to minister, mentor, and encourage us. There was a few different classes he facilitated. We'd go to those. I just got so much out of that brother, and some of those youngsters left, my cousin and my friend. And time's going by, and I hear, and then John gets out a year before my release. And I already hear those younger cousins and friends are already on their way back. I called John and I was like, hey, man, is it really that bad out there? I was like, man, so-and-so, which he knew, I said him by name to him, like, they're already on their way back. And he told me, Brother Tilo, that was my nickname in there, Tilo. If I wasn't in that word and I wasn't studying for those 4 or 5 hours, spending with our higher power, he said I would have fell on my face 1,000 times. He told me, and you just keep doing what you're doing, spending that time in the Word. And I was like, all right, that was enough for me to continue. I look forward to my release. Well, he got out in 2009. I got out in 2010. And I get out, and I don't have Facebook until 2013. So I don't find him until 2013. And I look, he's doing the reentry program. And I'm like, wow, life happened for me. I got out, but I was still inspired by him. And what I mean by life happened for me is I've lived, I've learned, I've been married, I've been divorced. Meaning things took place within these years up until today to where big changes happened, not for the better, not for the worse. But, I still found my way to pull myself out and return to this hope, this faith, this inspiration, this mentorship, everything that was fed to my soul and spirit during those tough times. I kept returning to the basics, and it was always there and faithful enough to accept me back, well, I lived that way for a few years, and I pulled myself out of addiction many times, and fell, would go cold turkey, but I wouldn't have no knowledge of recovery. And I didn't know why I kept returning to it, until this final time that I was discovered by Greg, and introduced to his beautiful, loving-hearted wife, Jennifer. Well, anyways, upon employment, they asked me what I'd like to do, and I told them I'd like to do reentry, not knowing the county we live in never even had a reentry program.
Yeah.
And here I am today with that vision that my big brother, John Ponder, CEO and co-founder of Hope for Prisoners, modeled before my eyes. And wow, I got to say that if that calling wasn't, if that outfit, that piece of the puzzle wasn't meant to be filled, I don't know what to call it, you know what I mean? But it just makes more sense to keep on doing this. Because guys like me, I wish I had a me upon my release, you know what I mean? I wish I had a me in a program to say, hey, if we know where you guys just came from, if you want to stay out, let's be open-minded. Let's be open for change, open for difference. Let's try to make it out here, Let's work together, If you have children, your children need you. If you still have your parents, your folks need you. They deserve to see a turnaround during their existence or yours, So that's where I'm at today. And I got to say, if it wasn't for my older brothers and mentorship, I don't know where I'd be. Like I said, it was before coming along, before my brother, that tragic loss of him turning me out for the better. All isn't lost for nothing, and that's what I'd like to share. That's my story behind my vision of Brothers in Progress.
Yeah, that's powerful. For our listeners and those of you watching on YouTube, Antonio has become part of the leadership team here. The name of our organization these days is PERS. We do prevention, intervention, and recovery services. And Antonio came on with a vision to begin a reentry program here in our county in Central Oregon. And what inspires me so much, Antonio, is the fact that the gift you were given with Brother John Ponder in prison hasn't been squandered. It's not been wasted. you know. And recovery we get to experience having received such a powerful gift.
That's correct.
To be delivered, to be brought, to find our way to walk out of addiction and find recovery. And be able to give back what we've been given is one of the greatest privileges I think I've ever experienced. And I certainly didn't deserve it. And yet I'm so damn grateful for it every day, you know. And so, you know, those folks that are watching or listening today, that are struggling with addiction, what words of encouragement, what words of wisdom would you have to share?
My words of wisdom is, you know, a lot of the time being on drugs, high, whatever that is that you're hanging on to, that is the closest thing to your reality, whether it be children, the love of your life, the thought of your aging parents, or maybe even the hurt towards yourself, you know, if you're considering that at all under the influence, to the time that you do consider what it is that, or who it is you may be hurting or leaving behind, I just say that they are yourself, or whoever is worth the shot of putting yourself through a detox and transition into sobriety, whatever the case stage may be. You know, if you're on your way back to jail or anything like that, that is also like that's a good way to detox as well. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have to, but you know, don't stop there. You know, those rooms are open. I was biased to those rooms once upon a time, but you know, we do recover, and the story doesn't end there. It starts here. You know, your story starts here, and your story is worth listening to, and we hear you. These rooms care about you. You know, and you know, if you knew me from my own personal life before recovery, you couldn't get one by me. And I gotta tell you, this wasn't one trying to get by me. This is the real deal. This is what it is. You know, and if it's the potency of this, the realness of that, whatever your term may be, to find this legitimate, worthy, with merit, this is it. This is it for us that struggle, that may have been born into addiction, born into a lifestyle of such, like myself. For me to be born into it and raised in it and still find a way out, I mean, it's got to say a lot about what these rooms, what these people, and what your words may bring.
Antonio, thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you, the courage, the way you just are free to express yourself, and
yes.
and your life, not just your story, because our story are words, but our life is the real deal, and the way you live your life and the example, you get to be that mentor to a lot of men and women that'll be coming out of county jail. We also have a state prison facility here in our county. And so, you know, I'm going to ask those of you that feel compelled, there's an invitation for you to donate to Brothers in Progress as Antonio launches the program here in Central Oregon. I'm going to put it in the show notes. There will be a link to both Venmo account and PayPal. But consider donating, because we're doing this as a nonprofit from scratch with a lot of faith and a lot of hope and a hell of a lot of inspiration because we walk this walk together. So until next time, I'm Greg Mead, and it's time for me to say goodbye. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the One Breath Podcast. Every story we share is a reminder that healing is possible, community is powerful, and progress is something we build together. If today's conversation moved you, inspired you, or helped you understand our work a little more deeply, we invite you to support SriPonya and our programs, Youth in Progress and Brothers and Sisters in Progress. Your contribution, no matter the size, directly supports youth mentorship, reentry support, and recovery-focused social enterprise across Central Oregon. To learn more, get involved, or make a donation, visit us online and stay connected to this growing community of compassion. A donation link is included in the show notes. Until next time, take a moment, take a breath, and take good care of yourself and each other.